Next is the lesson 20, the using media in teaching. Hello there, hello student, welcome to our online class. I hope you are as ready as I am to start learning and have fun. We're in this together. So let's respect and support each other. Unahin natin yung objectives. At the end of the lesson, the student is expected to discuss the principles which could guide teachers in the utilization of media in teaching. Second, describe the Assure module in media utilization and discuss the 4 Ps in utilizing media for teaching. Instructional media are not substitute for effective instruction. They are rather complementary to an effective teaching learning process. Some of these principles are: number 1, there can be no instructional material which could serve the purpose for all kinds of situation. No one types of instructional media should be used to the exclusion of others. Wala daw instructional material na magagamit sa lahat ng sitwasyon. Then, no type of instructional material should be used to the exclusion of others. Second is the kind of instructional material and the proportion that will be used will depend on the particular situation. Certain instructional materials seem more appropriate than others for certain topics or in a certain objectives. So, dito naman is, nakadepende sa situation mo kung paano ka magturo at kung ano ang lesson na i-discuss para magamitan ng instructional material. Example niyan is magtuturo ka tungkol sa mga animals. You should provide a picture para ma-identify nila kung anong animals iyon. At syempre, kung ang topics mo is dapat appropriate yung mga materials na gagamitin mo para mas maintindihan sa mga learners. Third is, teaching material are only guides that stimulate and help teachers develop different types of educational experiences for learners. Dito naman is, yung mga teaching material ay guides lang upang mapasigla at mag-develop ang mga teachers sa pagtuturo. Fourth is, materials for instruction must have with learning theories and educational goals. So, dito naman is dapat yung mga learning materials must be compatible o tugma sa theories at layuning pang-edukasyon. So, number 5 is preparation for the proper use of learning material must always be made. So, dahil nga ikaw ay guro o ikaw ay magtuturo, dapat talaga nakahanda lahat ng mga material learnings mo na gagamitin for your lesson. So, number 6 is materials should elicit students' participation whether the lessons are verbalized or visualized. So, dito naman is dapat yung mga materials na ginawa mo is dapat makapag-participate yung mga estudyante whether the lesson are verbalized or visualized. So, dapat is maintindihan nila ang mga materials na gagawin mo para makapag-participate yung mga learners mo. So, the last one is instructional materials should not be isolated for single use. It should be advantageous in any form of subject matter. So, dito naman is dapat yung mga instructional materials na ginawa mo ay hindi siya isolated o isahang paggamit lamang. Dapat kinabangan pa din ito sa mga susunod na lesson. And that's the end of my report. This is Reymar Tobato. Thank you.
The Assure model is procedural guide for planning, conducting, and evaluating instruction that incorporate instructional media. So, analyze learners. In this particular step, the characteristics of the learner are assessing the learners include knowing their general characteristics, their specific entry competencies, and their learning styles. So, to analyze the learners, you must examine the learner in detail. Like most things, without taking the time in the beginning to examine the learners, nothing you have prepared will be effective. Once you have an understanding and reasonable grasp for the learner's competence at the beginning of the instruction, the the teacher can modify to assist the learner in their learning endeavor. Next, state objectives. The second step in the model is to determine the objectives that the instructional plan wants to meet. Objectives will, in a sense, dictate the methods and media to be used. So, objectives are the learning outcomes. That is, what will the student will learn from the lesson. In order to develop proper objectives, you must frame them in terms of desired behavior. What the learner will be able to accomplish after completing the instruction. Next, select methods, media, and materials. The third step in the Assure model is to select the methods and the media and materials which will appropriately match the methods. Obtaining specific materials will involve any of the following alternatives. So, muna siya ang tatlo. So, once you know your audience and have a clear idea of what they should get out of the lesson, then it is time to select the appropriate methods for the given learning task. Select available materials, modify the existing materials, or design new materials to help accomplish the task. At this step, the instructor should connect the audience to the objectives. Next is utilize media and materials. The next step in the model is the utilization of media and materials. The utilize methods, media, and materials step is where you develop your plan for implementing your media and materials. For each type of media or materials, the teacher select and describe in how they are going to implement the media into your lesson to help your learners meet the lesson's objective. So, utilizing media and materials follow steps summarized as the 4 P's. First, prepare instructional materials. You need to gather together all of the things that you will need to teach your lesson. They must be working properly. For example, if you are making a PowerPoint presentation, then you'll need to create the text and graphics for each screen. Next, prepare learning environment. There is some minimal preparation required to set up the learning environment. Simple things like making sure that you have enough desks are important. Also, if you have control over the situation, you should make sure that these are no source of noise that will disturb the students. Next, prepare learners. First, you need to clearly inform the learners as to what the learning objectives are. This will help the learners create a mental map of what they need to absorb. Next, it's important to tell the students how they will be assessed. You need to tell them what their assignments will be, how they will be graded, if there are tests, or etc. Next, proceed with the lesson. This is where all of your planning takes effect. You should be prepared to carry out the lesson with every prior step of the process in mind. Next, require learner participation. The fifth is ensuring that learners are actively involved in the learning process. Research have pointed out the increase in retention when learners actively participate in class. So this step requires you to describe how you are going to get each learners actively and individually involved in the lesson. Students learn best when they are actively involved in the learning experience. Next, evaluate and revise. The final component of the Assure model is evaluation and revision. Evaluation is not the end of instruction. It is the starting point of the next and continuing cycle. So, the evaluation should be matched to the objective. Ultimately, this last stage is the most important. You must evaluate the instruction process from the start to finish using the objectives you created in the beginning.